My colleague got $90,000 year-end bonus, and I got a notice. Bonus zeroed out due to poor work attitude. I accepted it calmly, handed in my resignation on the spot, and went home to turn off my phone and sleep. I refused to answer any calls from my boss or HR, savoring the long-lost quiet. The next morning, my phone showed 159 missed calls and 199 text messages. My quiet exit triggered a high-level shakeup at the company. The company's annual gala was held at the city's top hotel. The light from the crystal chandeliers fractured into every glass, and the air was thick with the cloying sweetness of champagne and insincere laughter. Little Zhang from the sales department was called to the stage by the host in an exaggerated tone. His face flushed red, and he almost shouted, "Thanks to the company, thanks to CEO Zhao. My year-end bonus this year, $90,000. Whoosh, the room exploded. Envious and jealous gazes, like countless searchlights, focused on little Zhang, who was so excited he almost did a backflip right there. I sat in the corner, methodically cutting the steak on my plate. The faint, rhythmic scraping of my knife and fork against the china was jarringly out of place amid the surrounding clamor. My heartbeat didn't flutter by a single beat. It was as if the $90,000 was just a number that had nothing to do with me. Sister Chun, the HR director sitting next to me, nudged me gently with her elbow and whispered, "Ethan, the S Project profit margin is the highest in the entire company. Your bonus will be even bigger than his." I tugged at the corner of my mouth, but said nothing. Sure enough, the host enthusiastically cued the S Project on stage, calling it the company's cash cow for the year. Mr. Zhao, my boss, one of the company's founders, stood up from the main table, his face glowing, and raised his glass in salute. His gaze swept past the fawning faces, landing precisely on me. Then he mouthed the words, "You come here." I set down my silverware, wiped my mouth with a napkin, and walked toward the main table. The applause was sparse. Everyone assumed the biggest reveal of the night was about to happen. Mr. Zhao didn't have me come on stage. Instead, he pointed toward a room with a sign that read lounge. I pushed the door open, and he followed, closing it behind him, cutting off the clamor outside. The room was quiet. He gestured for me to sit, then took a commanding seat across from me. On the table lay a file, the words S Project Annual Profit Report, on the cover, strikingly prominent. The numbers on it were enough to make any shareholder beam with delight. Mr. Zhao didn't look at that report. He pulled another sheet of paper from a drawer and slowly, smiling, pushed it in front of me. It was a printed notice. The title read, "Decision regarding the issuance of Ethan's year-end bonus." The content was just one line, "Year-end bonus zeroed, due to work attitude issues." Beneath the notice was Mr. Zhou's flamboyant signature. He leaned back in a chair, folded his hands over his stomach, and looked at me with the gaze of a victor surveying his spoils. "Ethan, you're a technical genius. I won't deny that," he began. "But you're too much of a maverick. You don't know how to cooperate. The S Project belongs to the company, not to you, Ethan. When I asked you to hand over the core data for backup to another team, you dragged your feet. When I asked you to mentor the new hires, you treated them like air." His voice wasn't loud, but every word carried the condescension of someone looking down and the thrill of a conqueror. "Zeroing your bonus this year is a lesson. To make you understand that in this company, ability isn't everything. Attitude is." I looked into his eyes, which were filled with the smugness of, "I've got you cornered." I felt no anger, no urge to argue, not even a flicker of emotion. For the past 2 years, I lived and breathed for this S Project, working over 16 hours a day, building this massive technical barrier line by line of code from scratch. His maverick behavior was just my refusal of several unreasonable demands where he tried to insert his own people to steal the core algorithms. His so-called lack of cooperation was my insistence on professional boundaries, not letting non-experts direct the experts. Now that the project was a success and the profits were massive, he was eager to throw me away now that the millstone had served its purpose. I was silent for a few seconds, then, right in front of him, I took another document already printed out of my briefcase. It was a resignation letter. I placed it gently next to the zeroed bonus notice. "Mr. Zhao, please approve it." The smile on Mr. Zhao's face froze. He clearly hadn't expected this reaction. The scenario he envisioned involved me being shocked, angry, and miserable, then meekly begging him, admitting fault, and promising to behave in the future. After a solid 5-second pause, he snapped back with a cold laugh. "What? Having regrets now? Trying to threaten me with resignation? Ethan, you're too naive. Don't forget, the company runs without anyone. The S Project data is all on the company server. You think I actually need you?" I stood up and looked down at his face, slightly contorted by shock and anger. It's not a threat. It's a decision. I said the words I had long prepared calmly. Also, a friendly reminder, Mr. Zhao. The core code access permissions for the S project were automatically transferred to my personal encrypted server the moment I submitted my resignation. The hardware key for the backup is in my hand. I watched Mr. Zhao's complexion instantly change, from a contemptuous red to a deathly ashen gray. But he quickly suppressed his panic and regained his superior posture. Playing dirty? You think I have no way around that? Your backup is useless. He slammed the table, his voice suddenly rising. I'm telling you, Ethan, hand over all the materials immediately. Otherwise, forget a letter of resignation. I'll make sure you can't even work in this industry. I didn't look at him again. I turned, pulled the door open, and walked out. It was as if I hadn't just concluded a confrontation that would decide the company's fate, but had merely stepped out to grab a cup of coffee downstairs. The surging music from outside flooded in. The mingling of cups, the singing and dancing. No one knew that the deepest foundation pillar of this sprawling commercial empire had just been pulled out by its arrogant owner. I was getting water in the break room when I ran into Sister Chun. She looked at me with a complicated expression and asked softly, "Did he give you a hard time?" I shook my head. She sighed. "Ethan, you were too impulsive. Mr. Zhao is the type to hold a grudge. He's going to make things very difficult for you." I gave her a smile, realizing for the first time that a smile could also be a weapon. Difficult? Maybe the difficult part won't be for me. I didn't go back to the noisy banquet hall. I went straight to my office. The company late at night was as quiet as a massive tomb, with only the sound of my keyboard echoing in the empty space. I returned to my desk. Traces of my life were still scattered there. The small plant in the corner, the half cup of cold coffee, and the S project architecture diagram I had been using as a mousepad. I quickly packed my personal belongings into a cardboard box, one item at a time. Then, I turned on the company computer. Mr. Zhao thought he was in control of everything, but he didn't understand technology, and he certainly didn't understand me. He didn't know that the S project I built was less a piece of software and more a precise organism that was alive and recognized only me as its master. My fingers flew across the keyboard, inputting lines of encrypted commands. I didn't delete any code. That would be too low level. I simply performed a deep package and seal operation on the most critical algorithm module, the part 1 called the black box. This black box was the heart of the S project, the very reason it generated massive profits. Now, I had placed that heart into a safe only I could open. I also set up a time-triggered lock program. If anyone attempted to crack it by force, the entire system would initiate a self-destructing data corruption sequence. This wasn't a shutdown, it was brain death. Having finished, I sent a specially encrypted core project data handover document to my personal email, setting it to self-destruct after reading in 30 minutes. This document was my get-out-of-jail-free card, and it was the final straw that would crush Mr. Zhao. My phone screen lit up. It was a call from Mr. Zhao. I watched the name flash, and I didn't answer. A few seconds later, he sent a text. "Ethan, come back now, and we can still talk." I hung up the call directly and replied, "Resigned. No need to talk." Soon, a call came from HR, urging me to complete the handover procedures. I took the flash drive I had prepared earlier and handed it to the HR representative who rushed over. It contained a project document and code framework that appeared flawless on the surface. To an outsider, this was everything. But to any technician attempting to take over the project, it was a labyrinth from which they would never escape. They could see the magnificent palace, but they would never find the key to its main gate. After the handover, I held the box, taking one last look at the place I had poured 2 years of my life into. Outside the floor-to-ceiling window, the city's neon lights flowed like molten lava, brilliant yet cold. I felt no attachment, only an unprecedented sense of liberation. For 2 years, all my hard work, all my dedication, had been treated by Mr. Zhao as a stepping stone for his advancement and a chip to be casually squeezed. The equity he promised was repeatedly postponed with the excuse that the company was still in its development phase. The team he pledged was constantly disrupted by his relatives he forced onto the staff. I put up with it because the S project was my child, and I wanted to watch it grow. Now, it had grown, and it was time for me to leave this dirty place with it. He had promised me a team, but it was always thrown into chaos by the insiders he placed there. I endured because the S project was my child, and I wanted to watch it grow. Now that it had grown, it was time for me to leave this filthy place. Stepping out of the company building, the cold night air hit my face. I took a deep breath, my lungs filled with the taste of freedom. I took out my phone and held down the power button. The screen flashed one last time, then went completely dark. I tossed it into the deepest part of my backpack, as if discarding a heavy shackle. Back home, I didn't turn on the lights. I went straight to the bathroom and took a scalding hot shower. The steam fogged the mirror, blurring away 2 years of exhaustion and suppression. I threw myself onto the soft king-size bed and, for the first time, fell into a deep sleep without setting an alarm. I slept through heaven and earth. I had no idea that while I was enjoying this long-awaited peace, the company's tech department had already exploded. Mr. Zhao called an emergency meeting with the tech team overnight to verify the materials I handed over. They stared at the complete documentation, attempting to launch the project backend, only to find that no matter what they did, they couldn't access the core database. Some server permissions started exhibiting strange delays. At first, they assumed it was network fluctuation and didn't look deeper. It wasn't until the early morning hours that they discovered in horror that this wasn't a network issue. It was a permissions issue. All core modules of the S project were locked down by an invisible hand. They couldn't even find the entrance. Mr. Zhao's roaring could be heard throughout the entire floor. He called my phone frantically, but the only response was always, "The user you have dialed is currently unavailable." HR, my colleagues, and even some executives received Mr. Zhao's death order. Contact Ethan. But in my world, there was only silence. Sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains, a little harsh. I stretched, feeling every cell in my body energized. Inside, there was an unprecedented calm. I lazily climbed out of bed, pulled open the curtains, and sunlight instantly flooded the entire room. I brewed a cup of coffee in the kitchen and slowly finished breakfast before remembering the phone I had abandoned in my backpack. I found it, plugged it in, and turned it on. The moment the screen lit up, the world launched a fierce assault on me. The phone vibrated and rang madly, notifications flooding in like a burst dam. The notification bar at the top of the screen showed 2 shocking red numbers: 159 missed calls, 199 text messages. I looked at it all with calm eyes, as if viewing someone else's phone. Holding my coffee, I sat on the sofa and slowly opened the call log. It was a long, dense list. At the very top was Mr. Zhao, who had called almost every 5 minutes from last night until this morning. Following him were Sister Chun from HR, several tech team leads, and a few unfamiliar numbers. I guess they belonged to other senior executives. I ignored the missed calls and tapped on the text message list. Still at the top was Mr. Zhao. His messages perfectly displayed a person's journey from arrogance to panic to collapse. Last night at 11 p.m., "Ethan, you have half an hour to get back here now." 1 a.m., "There's a problem with the S project code. What the hell did you do? You must come back and fix it." 3 a.m., "I'm warning you. This is corporate extortion. It's illegal. After morgens, Ethan. Please, just answer the phone." Second on the list was Sister Chun. Her tone was full of anxiety and shock. "Ethan, disaster. The S project is completely paralyzed. The clients already know. The board called an emergency online meeting at 7 this morning. Answer your phone." The third set of messages was slightly surprising to me. The sender was Mr. Lee, the company's second largest shareholder, an elderly gentleman who was usually very low-key and rarely involved in day-to-day operations. "Ethan, this is John Lee. I know you've been wronged, but the company and we old guys all recognize your value. Let's talk. Don't do anything rash." "Rash thing." I murmured the 2 words, finding them amusing. I was only taking back what I was owed, and perhaps giving those who trampled on my dignity an unforgettable lesson. How could that be called rash? I continued scrolling down and saw a voice message from Mr. Zhao. I tapped on one. The voice coming from the phone completely lacked the arrogance and bluster from last night. It was a tremble mixed with extreme panic, fatigue, and anger, with even a barely perceptible plea. "Ethan, where are you? Please, can you just answer the phone? The S project is down. The biggest client company is having a meltdown. Their technical director has called 10 times an hour, saying they're starting the breach of contract compensation procedure. Come back immediately. We can discuss any terms you have." I closed the voice message, the curve of my lips widening. I judged that the S project had completely collapsed, just as I predicted. Mr. Zhao was facing an absolute disaster in his career. This speed was even faster than I had anticipated. I leaned back on the sofa, sipped my lukewarm coffee, and enjoyed the scene like a thrilling movie with a dramatic plot. I was both the director and the sole audience. I paused for a moment and texted Sister Chun back. "I'm just taking some annual leave and resigning." How did that become a rash thing? Less than 10 seconds after I sent the text, Sister Chen's call came through. I didn't answer. Almost simultaneously, Mr. Zhao's call roared in again. I watched the name Mr. Zhao flash wildly on the screen, letting it ring for a full minute, the sound piercing in the quiet room. Then I slowly extended my finger and pressed the red decline button. The world returned to peace. And I knew, on the other end of the line, someone's world was collapsing. I gave Sister Chen half an hour of buffer time to digest my text and let Mr. Zhao's panic ferment a bit longer. Then, I proactively called Sister Chen back. The call was almost instantly picked up. "Ethan, you finally answered." Sister Chen sounded like she was about to cry. The background noise was a cacophony of voices and ringing phones, like a chaotic battlefield. I walked to the window, looking at the bustling traffic below, and said in my usual calm voice, "Sister Chen, what's wrong with the company? Why is it so lively?" Hearing my unhurried tone, Sister Chen immediately became frantic. She rapidly gave me a live report of the internal chaos. "It's all because of the S project. Since midnight last night, the entire project has been paralyzed. The core algorithm section is completely frozen, meaning all critical data is inaccessible, and all client front-end applications have stopped working. The tech department worked all night and couldn't figure out a single thing." I feigned surprise with an "oh" and followed up, "Did the tech department try to fix it? Fix it? They can't even find the entrance." Her voice was filled with despair. "They initially thought they were hit by a hacker attack and investigated all night. Found absolutely no trace. Only later did someone speculate. Was it that you left a backdoor?" I didn't admit it directly, but calmly explained, "Sister Chen, when I resigned, I handed over the overall framework and non-core modules. But the most critical black box algorithm, I stressed to Mr. Zhao many times, was developed independently by me. Only my fingerprint and key can unlock it." I paused, a hint of sarcasm in my tone. "I thought Mr. Zhao would assign a professional to handle the handover. I didn't expect him to be so confident." This sentence hit the nail on the head. Mr. Zhao wasn't confident. He was arrogant. He thought that as long as he got the code, he could just hire some outside contractor, spend a little money to maintain the project, and then attribute all the credit and profit to himself. He had no idea that the S project became a cash cow, not because of its flashy front-end interface, but because of the black box I treasured so much. The algorithm inside was the result of 2 years of my life, combining the most cutting-edge encryption technology and data modeling. No one else in the country could replicate it in a short time. Sister Chen was silent on the line. After a few seconds, she said quietly, "He started organizing a team to try and crack it yesterday afternoon. The company's tech department, plus 2 so-called top guns hired from outside, have been at it for over 12 hours now. The clients can't wait that long, especially Company A. They've already formally sent a letter announcing they're starting the breach of contract claim process." I chuckled softly. "Why didn't he just call me?" He couldn't bring himself to. Sister Chen sighed. "He was still defiant at first, saying the world would keep spinning without you. When he realized things were serious, he got scared you'd make demands he couldn't accept." Just as I was talking to Sister Chen, a second call came in on my phone. It was Mr. Zhao. I didn't hang up on Sister Chen. Instead, I told her, "Sister Chen, Mr. Zhao is calling. Can you pick it up for me? Put on speakerphone. I want to hear what he has to say." Sister Chen hesitated for a moment, but complied. The instant the call connected, Mr. Zhao's hysterical roaring exploded from the receiver, making my ears buzz. "Sister Chen, have you contacted Ethan yet? Tell him, as long as he's willing to come back now. I'll give him a promotion, triple his salary. I'll immediately make up his year-end bonus from yesterday. 90,000. No, 100,000. His voice cracked from excitement, filled with unwillingness, humiliation, and the madness of a cornered animal. I could imagine his face flushed red, veins popping on his forehead. I held the phone, walked over to the mirror, and looked at the calm-eyed man reflected there, a cold curve on my lips. I leaned toward the mouthpiece and quietly said 2 words only Sister Chen could hear. "Too late." The words "too late" were like 2 bullets hitting Mr. Zhao on the other end of the line precisely. Although my voice was soft, Sister Chen's phone had excellent recording quality, and Mr. Zhao clearly heard them. His roaring abruptly stopped, and the other end of the line fell into a dead silence. What followed was an even more frantic yell. "Ethan, don't push your luck. You think I really can't touch you?" I motioned for Sister Chen to hang up. There was nothing to discuss with a gambler who had lost everything. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, the real bombshell arrived. Sister Chen sent me a screenshot of an internal email. The sender was Company A's legal department. The recipient was the company's entire board of directors. The email content was concise. Due to the continuous paralysis of your S project for over 12 hours, causing significant business interruption and commercial loss to our company, we hereby formally notify you that we will unilaterally terminate all cooperation agreements and reserve the right to pursue substantial compensation. Company A accounted for 40% of the company's total annual revenue. This news hit like a nuclear bomb, exploding internally among the senior management. The board members' group chat blew up, with all accusations aimed at Mr. Zhao. The shareholders began furiously questioning his leadership ability and that foolish year-end bonus zeroing decision. Mr. Zhao's text messages followed immediately, his tone shifting from panic and begging to naked threats. Ethan, this is my final warning. Restore the system immediately. Otherwise, you'll be sued into bankruptcy by us. Do you even know what a non-compete agreement or trade secret law is? I read the message and smiled. He was finally resorting to desperate measures. I leisurely replied, Mr. Zhao, a reminder. First, all the underlying technology for the S project was developed independently by me in my spare time. I have complete development logs and timestamp evidence. My lawyer filed the relevant intellectual property filings 2 years ago. Second, the IP ownership clause in our employment contract is vaguely written. If it goes to court, it's not certain who will lose. Look things up before threatening me. Don't sound like a legal novice. After sending the text, I blocked his number. The world grew quiet. Not long after, Mr. Lee's text message arrived again. This time, his wording was more earnest than in the morning, even carrying a hint of pleading. Ethan, we have temporarily suspended Mr. Zhao. The board wants to invite you to step in. We are prepared to offer our utmost sincerity. Are you free tonight? Come over for tea at my place, and we'll have a good talk. I guarantee we will give you a satisfactory resolution and secure all your rights. At the end of the message, he subtly implied that if I cooperated, they could completely undermine Mr. Zhao's position in the company. As I was considering how to reply, my peripheral vision caught sight of something outside the window. A familiar black Audi A8 was racing toward my building, stopping with a screech. The door opened, and Mr. Zhao scrambled out. His hair was a mess, his suit jacket wrinkled, and his tie askew. Gone was his former swagger. He looked like a gambler who had lost everything. My phone immediately started ringing. It was one of his other numbers. I didn't answer. He stood by the car, looking up, staring intently at my building, trying to find my window. The phone kept ringing tirelessly. I walked to the window, looked down through the glass at the anxious, angry, yet helpless man below. He paced near the car like a caged beast, occasionally picking up his phone only to put it down heavily. The sunlight hit him, making him look utterly pathetic. I calmly pressed the decline button. Then, I sent him one last text. Mr. Zhao, my apartment is too small to accommodate a dignitary like yourself. A few seconds later, frantic shouting came from downstairs. Ethan, get down here. Ethan, you ungrateful wretch. This company fed you for years. He started throwing a tantrum downstairs, trying to force me out using the most primitive, brutal method. Neighbors poked their heads out, pointing and gossiping about him. I frowned in disgust. I took out my phone, didn't call the police, but texted the property manager instead. Mr. Juan, hello. There's a strange man shouting downstairs at building A, possibly mentally unstable. He is seriously disturbing the community order and resident safety. Could you please send security over to handle it? In less than 5 minutes, 2 uniformed security guards appeared. They grabbed the still yelling Mr. Zhao, one on each side, and unceremoniously dragged him out of the complex. Mr. Zhao was still struggling, muttering some foul words. I drew the curtains shut, cutting off the farce. My calmness was his greatest humiliation. I didn't go to Mr. Lee's house for tea. I disliked that feeling of being on the defensive. I texted Mr. Lee back, proposing an online video conference and required that another independent director, Director Zhang, who held a significant stake, must also attend. I had one condition. The entire meeting must be recorded for potential future legal evidence. Mr. Lee replied with a quick agreed. At 8 p.m., the three-way video conference began on schedule. On the screen, both Mr. Lee's and Director Zhang's faces looked solemn. They didn't beat around the bush. They started by apologizing to me on behalf of the board for Mr. Zhao's foolish actions. Ethan, we admit the company handled this matter very improperly, severely damaging the reputation of a core contributor like yourself. The board has reached a preliminary consensus. Mr. Zhao must pay the price for his decision-making errors. We promise to fight for all the compensation you deserve, We can renegotiate your position and benefits. I didn't immediately respond to their overtures. I spent 10 minutes using the simplest, most direct language to explain to these two non-technical gentlemen exactly what the S Project's black box was. Mr. Lee, Director Zhang, the S Project is not a simple pile of code. Its core is a closed architecture built upon my own unique dynamic encryption algorithm. This architecture does not rely on any static data on the company's servers. It requires real-time authorization via a specific hardware key. I shook the USB-sized black hardware device in my hand. Without it, anyone who gets the code has just a pile of scrap paper. Mr. Lee and Director Zhang exchanged a look. Their expressions grew even more serious. Mr. Lee sighed. Ethan, we believe in your professional ability, but we don't understand. If you have such irreplaceable capability, why didn't you choose to negotiate peacefully with Mr. Zhao yesterday, instead of using such an extreme method? There was the question. This was precisely the reason I requested this meeting. I looked directly into the camera and retorted, Mr. Lee, do you honestly believe that Mr. Zhao zeroing out my bonus was just because my attitude was bad? Without waiting for their answer, I shared my computer screen. On the screen appeared screenshots of emails. This was backup data I had obtained from the company's legal department server through some special channels. The correspondence was between Mr. Zhao and a senior consultant in the legal department. The content was shocking. Starting 3 months ago, Mr. Zhao had been secretly consulting on how to legally strip the S Project, an intangible asset, from the parent company and inject it into a newly registered shell corporation he wholly owned. The emails detailed how to define the S Project's intellectual property rights, how to circumvent my promised equity compensation, how to manufacture reasons to marginalize me, and finally, how to make me leave with nothing. And the poor attitude leading to a zeroed bonus was the first step in their plan. I calmly explained the entire conspiracy. His plan was to humiliate and provoke me by zeroing my bonus. If I had endured it, he would have used more tactics to force me out later. If I had resigned impulsively like yesterday, it would have been even better for him. As soon as I completed the resignation procedures, he could legitimately declare the S Project company property and then use his authority as CEO to rapidly complete the asset transfer. This way, he could take the project, which I developed independently and which created massive profit for the company, and turn it into his personal property without firing a shot. My voice was calm, but the faces of Mr. Lee and Director Zhang on the other side of the screen turned terribly grim. Their facial muscles twitched, and their eyes were filled with the anger of being deceived and betrayed. They finally realized that Mr. Zhao, this greedy executioner, wasn't just trying to cheat one person. He was trying to hollow out the entire company and harm the interests of all shareholders. That bastard, Director Zhang, slammed the table in anger. That's embezzlement. That's commercial fraud. Mr. Lee's face was so dark it could drip water. He was silent for a long time before looking up at me and asking word by word, Ethan, what do you want? It was my turn to play my cards. First, I need the support of Mr. Lee and Director Zhang to immediately convene an emergency shareholder meeting and vote to remove Mr. Zhao from all his positions in the company on the grounds of embezzlement and damaging company interests. Second, until Mr. Zhao is completely liquidated, I will not unlock any core functions of the S Project. Mr. Lee hesitated for barely a second. Agreed. I'll contact the other directors immediately to initiate the impeachment process. He added, Ethan, can you at least provide a temporary unlocking solution, even if it only restores partial functionality? We can barely handle Company A's losses right now. I shook my head, my stance firm. No, unlocking is possible, but only after Mr. Zhao is purged from office. Otherwise, with his methods, the moment the system is restored, he will immediately destroy all evidence and then turn around and accuse me of maliciously attacking the company system. By then, I won't be able to clear my name, even if I'm in the right. I looked at the two pale-faced directors on the screen, knowing that from this moment, the countdown to Mr. Zhao's doom had officially begun, and I, from a victim, had become the manipulator of this liquidation drama. Mr. Zhao was clearly not one to sit idly by. After sensing that the tide of the board meeting had completely turned, he launched a frantic counterattack. The very next morning, numerous anonymous posts began appearing online. The headlines were increasingly sensational. Shocking. Core programmer at a tech company maliciously locks down company lifeline project after failing to get exorbitant year-end bonus. Tech genius or commercial hacker? Uncovering a carefully orchestrated workplace extortion. The post portrayed me as a greedy, skill-flaunting, despicable villain. The articles vividly describe how I used my position to steal core company data and then maliciously attacked the company's server after resigning, intending to extort a huge sum of money. These posts quickly spread across major tech forums and social media, with uninformed onlookers verbally attacking me. Mr. Zhao's PR team made its move, trying to preemptively brand me as a leaker and a hacker in the media, shifting all blame for the company's losses onto my malicious revenge. I looked at these posts, my heart completely unmoved. I immediately contacted my lawyer, sending over the backup of Mr. Zhao's correspondence with the legal department, as well as the recording of my meeting with Mr. Li and Director Zhang. At the same time, I instructed my lawyer to prepare to hold a small, online press conference in my name, inviting a few influential tech media outlets. My number was blocked by Mr. Zhao, so he sent me a final ultimatum via an unfamiliar number. The text message was filled with enraged threats. Ethan, the resources I command are beyond your imagination. I advise you to back off now, or I will not only ruin your reputation, but also make sure you suffer the consequences. I screenshotted this text and forwarded it directly to Mr. Li. This was Mr. Zhao threatening a key witness who could bring him down. The severity of the act was appalling. Soon, Sister Chen sent me new intelligence. Mr. Zhao was making a final stand internally. He was using double salary and huge bonuses to lure the members of my old S Project team to sign a false technical statement proving that the S Project was the result of collective team development and that I, Ethan, was just one member, not irreplaceable. This was his final attempt to legally strip me of my status as the S Project's primary architect. My former core team member, Little Lu, sent me a screenshot of a WeChat conversation. In the screenshot, Mr. Zhao's secretary was trying to coerce him into being the first to sign that false document. I looked at the screenshot and sent Little Lu one sentence back. Don't sign. Keep the screenshot. If they're willing to come with me, once this is over, we can start our own firm together. What I offer will only be more than what he promised. Little Lu replied almost instantly. Sister Ethan, we're all with you. These people are despicable. I smiled. Mr. Zhao thought money could buy everything, but he forgot that loyalty cannot be bought. I organized all the defamatory posts against me, Mr. Zhao's threatening texts, and the screenshot from Little Lu into a single document and emailed it to Mr. Li. I wrote in the email, Mr. Li, Mr. Zhao has gone mad. He is destroying evidence, manufacturing perjury, and threatening witnesses. I demand the board speed up the impeachment process immediately. Otherwise, I can't guarantee how long the S Project system can last. This email was the straw that broke the camel's back. That afternoon, Mr. Zhao's legal team sent me a strongly worded letter from their lawyers. In the letter, they righteously accused me of illegal intrusion into a computer system and theft of trade secrets, demanding that I unconditionally hand over the S Project's core code and hardware key immediately, or they would report me to the police and pursue criminal charges. My lawyer responded to the letter within half an hour of receiving it. A countersuit letter was sent directly to the company board in Mr. Zhao's personal email. In the letter, my lawyer not only completely refuted the opposing accusations, but, in turn, accused Mr. Zhao of embezzlement, instigating perjury, and attempting to steal my personally owned intellectual property. At the end of the letter, excerpts from Mr. Zhao's key correspondence with the legal department were attached as evidence. The situation reversed instantly. Mr. Zhao's position within the company was already precarious. His media attacks and legal threats had all failed. He was now like a cornered beast, pinning all his hopes on finding a savior who could crack my black box. But he didn't know that person simply did not exist in this world. Just as Mr. Zhao was racking his brain, searching everywhere for a technical master, an unexpected person contacted me. It was Gu Feng, the CEO of M Corp, another industry giant in the country. He was an old acquaintance from a tech summit I attended years ago. He sent me a text message. The content was brief, but very interesting. Ethan, the play you've been directing recently has a great script. Free to chat about the future. I arranged to meet him at a very discreet private tea house. Gu Feng was 10 years older than me, wearing a perfectly tailored traditional Chinese suit, looking refined and easygoing, but his eyes held the shrewdness and sharpness of a businessman. We skipped the pleasantries. He got straight to the point. The S Project, my people have been studying it for 2 years. One sentence was enough to tell me the purpose of his visit. The result of our study is that its technical barrier is even higher than we imagined. Its core algorithm is your personal signature, Ethan. In this industry, no one but you can replicate it in a short time. He looked at me, his tone sincere. So, I'm not here to steal your code. I'm here to recruit you, the person. He poured me a cup of tea, then presented his partnership proposal. Mr. Zhao's company, after what you've done, will be severely damaged even if it doesn't die. Company A is finished, and subsequent clients will gradually leave. I want to fill this market vacuum with you. M Corp will provide the startup capital, market channels, legal, and administrative support. You provide the technology and the core team. We will jointly establish a new, independent company dedicated to operating an upgraded version of the S project, focusing on high-end clients with the most demanding technical requirements. He paused, then stated the most crucial condition. In the new company, M Corp will only be a financial investor and resource provider, not involved in daily operations. You will hold a 51% stake, giving you absolute controlling power. My hand, holding the teacup, paused slightly. This offer was incredibly tempting. I, an employee once casually bullied and marginalized by capitalists, would leap to becoming the owner of a startup with absolute control. This wasn't just revenge. It was the ultimate maximization of my personal value. Gu Feng noticed my hesitation and added with a smile, "By the way, I have some news for you. Company A CEO flew to our headquarters yesterday, seeking an alternative solution from M Corp. But they made one firm demand. The technical lead must be you, Ethan." I finally understood. Gu Feng wasn't just making empty promises. He had brought Company A's massive contract with him. I pondered for a moment, then looked up at him. "Mr. Gu, the partnership is possible. But I have one condition. Tell me, before my new company is officially established and signs a contract with Company A, M Corp cannot intervene in the current S project mess in any way. I need to ensure my former employer, especially Mr. Zhao, pays a sufficiently painful price for their actions." What I wanted was not just a victory, but a thorough liquidation. Gu Feng laughed heartily at my words. "Ethan, I admire your character. No problem. I promise to only be an audience member in this play. I certainly won't get on stage to steal the spotlight." He understood my goal and believed my counterattack was entirely justified. We reached a secret cooperation agreement on the spot. Gu Feng's legal team was extremely efficient. That same night, the new company's incorporation documents and the draft equity agreement were sent to my email. I already had a name in mind for the company, Visionary Tech. My vision versus Mr. Zhao's short-sightedness would be the classic cautionary tale in this industry for the next few years. Armed with Gu Feng's mandate, I began the final step of the plan, recalling my team. I contacted the 3 original core technical members of the S project one by one, including Little Lou, who had sent me the screenshot first. I didn't say much over the phone, just arranged to meet them at a coffee shop near my apartment. All 3 showed up, each face etched with anxiety and expectation. I skipped the small talk and laid out the entire plan on the table. My imminent partnership with M Corp to form a new company, along with the positions, salaries, and stock options they would receive. I told them how Mr. Zhao tried to steal the fruits of our labor and how we now had a chance to take it all back and create a platform truly belonging to technical people. Their reaction was even more enthusiastic than I expected. "Sister Ethan, we've long been sick of Mr. Zhao's attitude." "Exactly. Having those clueless relatives order us around all day. It's suffocating work. Just say the word, and we'll hand in our resignations immediately." They agreed to join my new plan with almost no hesitation. Their resentment toward Mr. Zhao and the company management ran deep. My appearance was just the spark that ignited a powder keg already laid. Mr. Zhao's PR war completely failed. This was because the biggest client, Company A, after terminating the cooperation, surprisingly issued a public statement. In the statement, they highly praised the S project's technical sophistication and explicitly stated that they trusted not the company, but the project's chief architect, Ms. Ethan. This was equivalent to a loud slap right across the faces of Mr. Zhao and all the company executives. Mr. Lee's call followed immediately. His voice held a trace of fatigue, but more relief. "Ethan, the board has passed the resolution. On the grounds of gross dereliction of duty and suspected embezzlement of company assets, we have officially initiated impeachment proceedings against Mr. Zhao. Tomorrow morning at 9, we will hold an emergency shareholder meeting for the final vote." "What about my conditions?" I asked. "We agree to everything, but you must also fulfill your promise. As soon as the impeachment resolution passes, you must restore the system immediately." I heard a tone of transactional negotiation in Mr. Lee's voice. Just then, an unfamiliar number called again. I signaled Mr. Lee to wait and answer the call. On the other end, Mr. Zhao's voice, completely broken, emerged. He wasn't roaring or threatening anymore. It was a hoarse sound, drained of all strength, left only with despair. Ethan, I lost. I'm willing to resign. I'm willing to accept any investigation by the board. I don't want anything. I only beg you, come back and start the S project up. Save the company. And maybe, save me. I listened to his rambling pleas, and my heart held no pity. If only he had thought of this before acting. I switched back to the call with Mr. Lee, my tone turning cold and firm. Mr. Lee, please relay this to the board. I agree to restore the system, but I have my final demands. First, after tomorrow's shareholder meeting, Mr. Zhao must resign immediately, hand over all permissions on the spot, and submit to the board's internal investigation. Second, the company must immediately pay all my withheld year-end bonuses, project bonuses, and promised equity cash out from the last 2 years, totaling $2 million after tax. This money must be in my personal account before the system is restored. Third, the company must publish a letter of apology to me on its official website and in mainstream industry media, clarifying the facts and restoring my reputation. Mr. Lee was silent on the line. $2 million was not a small sum. Publishing a public apology would completely destroy the company's image. Ethan, this condition is a bit. He tried to haggle. I cut him off directly. Mr. Lee, my core team is with me now. If the S project is still down tomorrow morning, the huge penalty from Company A, plus the collective loss of subsequent clients, will cause the company losses exceeding $20 million, possibly even leading to bankruptcy liquidation. $2 million is the price for the company's chance to survive. You have no right to negotiate terms. Silence fell on the other end again. After about 5 minutes, Mr. Lee's voice returned, tinged with deep helplessness. Fine, I agree, but you must guarantee that you will unlock the system immediately after receiving the money. I gave a cold laugh. Of course. Tomorrow morning, after I see the board's impeachment resolution, the official apology letter, and the text message confirming the deposit into my bank account, I will consider unlocking it. Hanging up, I let out a long sigh of relief. A sense of ultimate release enveloped me. Everything was proceeding seamlessly, following the script I had written toward its final outcome. I didn't go to the shareholder meeting in person. I had no interest in a trial whose verdict was already predetermined. I chose to observe remotely via video link. The meeting started exactly at 9 a.m. Through my laptop screen, I could feel the atmosphere in the hall, so heavy it was almost suffocating. Mr. Zhao sat in the defendant's seat, his face like dead ash, but he was still making a final struggle. He argued hoarsely, claiming he was framed, pushing all the blame onto my malicious revenge and technical extortion. He was like a jumping clown, performing his final act of madness. Mr. Lee didn't waste time on him. He immediately had his secretary project the evidence I provided, the emails showing Mr. Zhao's attempt to embezzle the S project's intellectual property onto the large screen in the main hall. Ironclad proof. Next, Mr. Lee publicly read out Company A's sternly worded termination of cooperation email and their public statement expressing high confidence in me, Ethan. Mr. Zhao's former allies lowered their heads one by one, choosing to switch sides. The situation became completely one-sided. The final voting result held no suspense. The shareholder meeting passed the resolution to remove Mr. Zhao from all his company positions by an overwhelming majority of over 2/3. The moment Mr. Lee announced the result, I saw Mr. Zhao completely slump in his chair as if his spine had been removed. He was immediately required to hand over the keys to the CEO's office, the company's seal, and all internal system permissions. He completely broke down, his eyes vacant, like a puppet whose soul had departed. After liquidating Mr. Zhao, the shareholders in the hall immediately turned their attention to me on the screen. Their gazes were filled with urging and expectation. Ethan, you can unlock the system now, right? A shareholder asked impatiently. I looked at their anxious faces on the screen and smiled slightly. Board members, unlocking the system is possible. But how well has the company fulfilled my conditions? Mr. Lee immediately took over. Ethan, rest assured. The draft apology letter has been prepared, and the impeachment resolution is effective immediately. As for your $2 million in compensation, finance is expediting the process. I shook my head. Mr. Lee, I don't want to hear the process is underway. I want to hear deposited immediately. My tone was absolute. Otherwise, I can lock the system again at any time. Believe me, the second lock will be permanent. The hall erupted in an uproar. No one expected me to be so assertive at this moment. Mr. Lee's face changed several times, but finally, he gritted his teeth and roared at the finance director next to him. Forget the process. Right now, use my personal authority. Transfer the funds immediately. Under Mr. Lee's personal guarantee, finance rushed the transfer. 5 minutes later, my phone received a text message from a bank. Your savings account ending in XXXX completed a deposit transaction on XX/XX at XX amount. $2,000,000,000 current balance. I looked at that string of numbers, the smile on my lips growing wider. I nodded to the screen. Very good. A pleasure doing business with you. I typed a string of commands into my computer. Almost at the same moment, the technical director in the shareholder meeting hall let out a cry of pleasant surprise. It's back. Access to the S Project backend is restored. Applause and cheers of relief erupted in the hall. However, their cheers lasted less than 10 seconds. Because of what I said next, the entire hall fell into a dead silence again. Everyone, please be quiet for a moment. I must remind you all, this is only a temporary unlocking solution. The core architecture of the S Project is still under my control. My new company, Visionary Tech, will be officially established in 1 week. At that time, we will present your company with a comprehensive acquisition proposal for the future technical iteration and client maintenance of the S Project. If your company refuses, then in 1 month, this temporarily unlocked system will permanently fail. At that time, what you lose will be more than just a single client like Company A. After I finished, without waiting for any reaction from them, I shut down the video link. The moment the screen went black, I could almost hear the sound of those shareholders gasping for air on the other end. I wasn't a savior. I was only here to take back what was mine and perhaps tear off another piece of flesh from them. The next day, a letter of apology, worded sincerely, was posted on the homepage of the company's official website. In the letter, they highly praised my outstanding contribution and core role in the development of the S Project and expressed their deepest apologies for the damage to my reputation and the financial losses caused by previous internal management errors. Although the letter did not name names, the subtext clearly pointed to Mr. Zhao's flawed decisions. This letter provided the perfect period mark to all the slanders I had suffered. My lawyer informed me that after being impeached, Mr. Zhao was still unwilling to give up. He used his last connections and funds to secretly contact a new technical team, attempting to violently crack my code and regain control after I unlocked the system. But he failed. He had no idea that I had left a double layer of security. What I temporarily unlocked was only the system's front-end application layer. The most crucial black box algorithm was still firmly under my control, protected by a higher level of anti-intrusion defenses. Any unauthorized access would trigger the system's final self-destruct sequence. After confirming Mr. Zhao's foolish actions, my legal team, under the name of the newly established Visionary Tech, formally filed a lawsuit against my former employer and Mr. Zhao personally. The goal of the lawsuit was clear: to completely clarify the ownership of the S Project's technology from its inception to the present. The chain of evidence we held was complete and strong. We were certain to win this case. 1 week later, M Corp officially announced on its channels, Visionary Tech, a rising new tech company, has entered into a deep strategic partnership with us. The founder and CEO of Visionary Tech is none other than me, Ethan. The news sent shockwaves through the industry. Almost simultaneously, Company A also issued a statement announcing that they had signed a brand new technical service agreement with Visionary Tech. The contract fee was 30% higher than the original contract signed with my former employer. With Little Lou and the other 3 core members, I officially began the comprehensive upgrade and permanent repair of the S Project in the brand new office space Gufeng had prepared for us. We no longer had to worry about anyone's interference. We had the best equipment, the freest environment, and the most substantial rewards. This was the working environment that technical professionals deserved. Sister Chun later sent me a text message. She said Mr. Zhao was not only completely stripped of all his shares by the company, but was also formally handed over to the Economic Investigation Department by the board for suspected embezzlement and commercial fraud. All his properties and savings were frozen, and prison awaited him. His wife also filed for divorce because she couldn't bear the contrast between heaven and hell. He lost everything overnight. After reading the message, I calmly deleted all of Mr. Zhao's contact information. I didn't want to waste another second focusing on the fate of a loser. Mr. Li and Director Zhang contacted me several times, offering astronomical annual salaries and the position of executive vice president, trying to persuade me to return to the original company. I politely declined every offer. Mr. Li, thank you for your kindness, but I've already obtained what I wanted most. And what is that? Freedom and the power to control my own destiny. Visionary Tech rapidly rose in the industry, becoming a dazzling new star. Mr. Zhao and his old company were completely relegated to a cautionary tale in the industry. 1 year later, I stood before the massive floor-to-ceiling window in the top-floor office of Visionary Tech. Outside, the city's night view was spectacular. The lights of 1,000 homes looked like stars fallen to earth. The company had expanded tenfold from a year ago, and the upgraded version of the S project now dominated half the high-end domestic market. I gave an exclusive interview to a top national tech media outlet. The beautiful female reporter sat across from me, her questions sharp and direct. CEO Ethan, the widely publicized quiet resignation event a year ago has become a legend in the hearts of many professionals. Many people are curious. When you were notified that your year-end bonus was zeroed out, how were you able to remain so calm? I picked up the coffee on the desk and looked out at the night view, smiling faintly. Because anger and argument are the last weapons of the weak. But when you hold the actual core technology and enough chips to flip the table, all the insults and injustices you hear are just a fanfare signaling the charge for a counterattack. My calmness isn't because I didn't care. It's because at that moment, I already knew clearly who the real loser was. The reporter was clearly satisfied with the answer, and she continued to press. Then, in your opinion, what is the best year-end bonus for a striver? I thought for a moment and answered her earnestly. Respect. It is a heartfelt respect from an enterprise for its talent, respect for knowledge and professional value. That is more important than any number. After the interview was published, the quote, "Respect is the best year-end bonus," quickly became a trending hot topic online. My phone received a congratulatory text message from Sister Chun. She had resigned from that dying old company 6 months ago. Now, she was the human resources director at Visionary Tech. Looking at my phone, I recalled that morning a year ago, those 159 missed calls and 199 texts. In retrospect, that wasn't harassment. It was Mr. Zhao paying an exorbitant ransom for my freedom with his entire fortune and future. I gave myself a long vacation, flying to an island in the southern hemisphere. This time, it was a pure vacation, completely undisturbed by work calls. I lay on the beach, watching the waves repeatedly wash over the sand, erasing every trace. I suddenly realized that true peace wasn't about hiding from the world's clamor. It was the composure and calmness that came from within after you acquired the ability to control that clamor.